your 40s right now, stop what you're doing and listen very carefully, because the decisions you make in the next 12 months will decide whether your 60s are calm or catastrophic. Your 40s are not the warm-up, and they are not the victory lap. They are the narrow window where you still have time, energy, and earning power all at once, but that window is closing faster than you think. Most people waste this decade chasing the wrong goals, fixing the wrong problems, and hoping retirement will magically work itself out. It won't. Charlie Munger spent his life studying how smart people make dumb mistakes, and he had blunt advice for this exact stage. Stop pretending you have infinite time. Stop treating your portfolio like a hobby and start making decisions like someone who understands that compounding needs years to work and you just ran out of decades to waste. If you are 40-something and you feel behind, good. That discomfort is the beginning of clarity. If you feel comfortable, be careful, because comfort in your 40s is usually debt and lifestyle talking, not wealth. Today I am going to give you 3 moves Munger would make if he were sitting in your chair right now, 40 years old, with maybe 20 good earning years left, and a chance to get this right before it is too late. Before we dive in, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and join our squad, because every single week we are here building real wealth with calm, boring, repeatable principles. Not hype, not shortcuts, just the stuff that actually survives contact with real life. Here is what makes your 40s different from your 30s and your 50s. In your 30s, you had time, but maybe not income. In your 50s, you will have income, but less time and energy. Your 40s are the sweet spot where you can still earn aggressively, you can still recover from mistakes, and compounding still has enough runway to turn a decent base into serious money. But only if you stop doing the 3 things that kill most 40-year-olds financially. 1, living like your income will rise forever. 2, thinking diversification means owning 15 things you do not understand. And 3, waiting for certainty before you act. Munger hated all 3 of those. He would tell you to live under your peak, own only what you can explain, and treat uncertainty as the price of admission, not an excuse to delay. That is not motivational talk, that is survival math for people who waited too long to get serious. Move number 1, cut your life in half and double your surplus. That sentence is going to make you uncomfortable. Good. Comfort is expensive and your 40s cannot afford it. Here is what I mean. By your 40s, lifestyle has a way of expanding to swallow every raise, every bonus, every windfall. You are not living lavishly in your own mind, you are just comfortable. But comfortable is code for I have engineered a life that requires me to keep earning at this level forever or I am in trouble. That is fragile. Munger loved robustness. Robust means your life works even if your income drops by 30% tomorrow. If that thought terrifies you, your lifestyle's too expensive. The fix is not to feel guilty. The fix is to take a machete to the budget and find out what you actually value versus what you are paying for out of inertia, status, or exhaustion. Most 40-year-olds are funding 3 lives at once. The one they are living, the one they think they should be living, and the one they are too tired to question. Kill 2 of those. Keep the one that lets you sleep and save. Here is the brutally simple test. Take your after-tax income, subtract your true cost of living, the number you could survive on for 18 months if you had to, without drama. The gap between those 2 numbers is your surplus. If that surplus is under 20% of your income, you have a lifestyle problem, not an income problem. Munger would say you are paying a tax to yourself every month and calling it life. The goal in your 40s is not to maximize income, although more is good. It is to maximize surplus, because surplus is the only thing that becomes wealth. Income that turns into payments, subscriptions, and convenience does not compound. It evaporates. This is where most people in their 40s are bleeding out, and they do not even see it. They make 6 figures and save 4 figures and then wonder why the account does not move. The account does not move because the surplus is not there. Fix the surplus and everything else becomes easier. Practically, that means 3 decisions you make once and enforce forever. First, cap your housing at 25% of gross income, and if you are over that, either increase income or decrease house. Yes, even if you love the neighborhood. The neighborhood is not paying your retirement. Second, eliminate any car payment over $500 a month. If your cars are bleeding you, you bought status, not transportation. Sell it. Drive something boring for 3 years and let the savings buy you a decade of options later. Third, subscriptions and convenience spending. If you are spending more than $300 a month on entertainment, delivery, and subscriptions combined, you are renting happiness instead of building it. Audit every recurring charge. If you do not remember signing up for it, kill it. If you would not buy it again today, kill it. If it is only $10 a month, kill 5 of them and you just found $600 a year to invest. Do that for 10 years and you just bought yourself a year of freedom at age 55. Now let me tell you what this is not. This is not poverty cosplay. This is not pretending you are broke when you are not. This is choosing to live like someone who values future freedom more than present appearance. Munger lived in the same house for decades. Buffett drives old cars not because they are cheap, because they do not confuse spending with winning. You are not cutting your life in half to suffer. You are cutting the fat so the muscle can grow. And in your 40s, that muscle is your savings rate, your investable surplus, and your ability to survive a bad year without liquidating your future at a discount. Move number 2. Concentrate on quality, not diversification theater. By your 40s, you have probably heard the word diversification 1,000 times. You have been told to spread your risk, own a little bit of everything, and never put too many eggs in one basket. That advice is not wrong for people who do not know what they are doing, but if you have spent any time learning how businesses actually work, Munger would tell you that over-diversification is a hedge against ignorance, and ignorance is fixable. In your 40s, you do not have time to own 50 things you do not understand. You have time to own 5 to 8 things you understand deeply, and then sit on your hands while they compound. Munger called this the focus approach, and it is how he and Buffett built serious wealth. They did not buy the index and hope. They bought great businesses at fair prices and held them through every headline, every crash, and every moment of doubt. That is not gambling. That is patience backed by understanding. Here is the shift you need to make if you are 40 plus. Stop thinking like a collector and start thinking like an owner. Owners ask different questions. They do not ask, what is hot right now? They ask, would I be happy owning this business for 10 years if the market closed tomorrow? They do not ask, what is everyone buying? They ask, does this company have pricing power, low capital needs, honest management, and a product people will still want in a decade? If the answer to those questions is no, you do not own it, no matter how cheap it looks or how loud the internet is about it. And if the answer is yes, you buy it at a fair price, and then you do the hardest thing in investing, nothing. You let it grow while you go live your life. You do not check it every day. You do not trade it because you are bored. You do not sell it because your brother-in-law told you about something sexier. You hold it because you understand it, and because time is the ingredient that turns good businesses into great returns. Let me be specific about what quality means in this context. Quality is not an expensive stock. Quality is a business with a durable competitive advantage, something Munger called a moat. The moat can be a brand people trust, a network effect that gets stronger as it grows, a cost structure no competitor can match, or a regulatory advantage that protects the business from new entrants. If you cannot explain the moat in 2 sentences, you do not understand the business well enough to own it. That is the filter. And here's the thing. Once you apply that filter honestly, your list of buyable businesses shrinks fast. That is good. A short list of great businesses you actually understand beats a long list of mediocre things you bought because they were trending. Munger was ruthless about his too hard pile. Most ideas went into that pile. He was not embarrassed by that. He was proud of it because avoiding bad ideas is more valuable than finding good ones. Now, does this mean you ignore diversification completely? No. It means you diversify across a small number of high-quality positions, not across 50 ticker symbols you cannot name. 5 to 8 carefully chosen businesses held for years will very likely outperform 30 things you do not understand, especially after taxes and fees. And in your 40s, taxes and fees are not minor details. They are the difference between retiring at 60 and working until 70. Every trade is a tax event. Every mutual fund with a 2% fee is a silent partner taking 20% of your returns over a decade. Munger hated paying for activity. He loved paying for patience. Be the same way. So here is your action step. Open your current portfolio, write down every position. Next to each one, write one sentence explaining why you own it and what the business actually does to make money. If you cannot do that in one clear sentence, you are guessing, not investing. Sell it or spend the weekend learning it well enough to write that sentence. Then, for everything that remains, ask, would I buy this today at this price if I did not already own it? If the answer is no, sell it. If the answer is yes, hold it and set a calendar reminder to review it in 6 months. Not 6 days, 6 months. That is the cadence of an owner, not a trader. Traders pay fees and taxes. Owners collect compounding. One more thing, if individual stock selection feels too hard or too time-consuming and you would rather own a simple, low-cost index that gives you exposure to hundreds of great businesses without requiring you to be an analyst, that is completely fine. Munger respected that choice. The key is that you understand what you own and why, and that you are not paying high fees for someone to guess on your behalf. A low-cost broad index held for 20 years beats most active managers, and it definitely beats paralysis. The worst move in your 40s is not choosing the wrong investment. The worst move is choosing nothing because you are waiting for certainty. Certainty does not exist. Reasonable confidence and a long time horizon are enough. Move number 3, prepare for the hits you cannot see coming. Your 40s are when life starts throwing expensive surprises at you. Aging parents who need help, kids who need braces, tutoring or college, layoffs that last longer than 3 months, health issues that were not on the calendar, roofs that fail, transmissions that die, friendships that end over money. If you are not planning for these, you are not planning, you are hoping. And hope is not a strategy for people in their 40s. Munger loved the phrase, expect disaster. That sounds dark, but it is actually liberating because when you expect disaster, you stop being surprised by it and you start being ready for it. Ready looks like 3 things: cash, clarity, and emotional resilience. Cash first. You need 6 months of non-negotiables sitting in a boring savings account earning boring interest. Not invested, not accessible via a line of credit. Cash. Actual liquid dollars that you can touch in 72 hours if the world tilts. Why 6 months? Because layoffs do not resolve in 4 weeks. Because aging parents do not get cheaper to help. Because the transmission and the roof do not negotiate. If you do not have 6 months, build it now, even if that means you pause investing for 2 quarters. I know that sounds like heresy in a culture that screams invest every dollar immediately, but Munger would tell you that surviving is more important than optimizing. You cannot compound wealth if you are forced to sell your investments at the worst possible moment because you had no buffer. Cash is not a drag on returns. Cash is the reason you get to keep your returns instead of liquidating them during a storm. Clarity second. In your 40s, you need a simple, written plan for what happens when something breaks. If you lose your job, what is step 1, step 2, step 3? If a parent needs financial help, what can you afford and what is the line you will not cross? If your kid needs something expensive, how do you decide whether it is a need or a want? These are not fun conversations. But if you do not have the conversation before the emergency will make the decision for you, and it will be expensive. Munger was a huge believer in pre-commitment. Decide in advance what you will do. Then, when the moment comes, you execute the decision instead of making it under stress. Write down your rules. I will not take on new debt except for X. I will not liquidate my retirement accounts except for Y. I will not co-sign a loan even for family. Whatever your rules are, write them down and review them once a year. That piece of paper is your emotional firewall. Emotional resilience third. This is the part nobody talks about. Your 40s are hard emotionally. You are old enough to see the gap between where you thought you would be and where you actually are. You are watching some friends get rich while others fall apart. You are realizing that your parents are not immortal and your kids are not kids forever. You are tired in a way you were not in your 30s, and the idea of starting over feels heavy. All of that is real. Munger would not tell you to ignore it. He would tell you to accept it. Then act anyway. Emotional resilience is not pretending you are fine. It is deciding that your feelings do not get to make your financial decisions. If you are anxious, you still follow the plan. If you are excited, you still follow the plan. That is not cold. That is mature. And maturity is the one edge you have in your 40s that younger people do not. Use it. Here is a hard truth. If you are 40 and you have not started preparing for these hits, you are about to learn some very expensive lessons. The people who coast through their 40s are either very lucky or very wealthy already. The rest of us have to be very deliberate. Deliberate looks like this. You keep your housing and car costs low enough that losing a job does not become a crisis. You keep your career skills sharp enough that you could land something new in 90 days. You keep your relationship strong enough that you can ask for help without shame if you need it. You keep your health in the zone where you are not a ticking time bomb of medical bills. You keep your finances simple enough that you can explain them on one page. And you keep your ego small enough that you can admit when you are wrong and course correct fast. Now let's talk about what not to do in your 40s, because this is just as important. Do not try to time the market. You do not have the skill and you do not have the temperament, and even if you did, the effort is not worth the return. Do not take on new debt to fund lifestyle. If you cannot pay cash, you cannot afford it. Do not co-sign anything for anyone, even family. Love them, help them in other ways, but do not tie your credit to their choices. Do not ignore your health to chase extra income. The emergency room is more expensive than the time you saved. Do not outsource your financial decisions to someone who earns a commission on your choices. Get advice, sure, but make the final call yourself. And do not wait for permission or certainty or the perfect moment. The perfect moment was 10 years ago. The second best moment is right now. One more. Do not treat your home like an ATM. I know the equity is sitting there. I know cash out refis look tempting. I know the interest rates are still okay. Do not do it. Your home equity is not your emergency fund, and it is not your investment capital. It is your housing stability. The moment you start pulling money out to fund other things, you are adding leverage to your life, and leverage in your 40s is a bad trade. Keep the house simple. Pay it off if you can. If you cannot, just keep making the payment and leave it alone. Before I give you the exact 90-day action plan, let me pause and make sure you are still with me. If this plan is punching you where it should and you want weekly, no-nonsense breakdowns that keep you on track, pause for 2 seconds, hit like, hit subscribe, and join the squad. Then drop a comment that says 40S plan plus one thing you are cutting this month, because writing it down makes it real. I read everyone. I reply. and I will call out the best ones in future videos. Now, back to work. Here is your 90-day sprint. Week 1, calculate your true surplus, income minus non-negotiables. If it is under 20%, you have homework. Write down the 3 biggest leaks and kill one immediately. Week 2, audit your portfolio. Write that 1-sentence explanation for every position. If you cannot research it or sell it, Week 3, check your cash buffer. If it is under 3 months, pause new investing and build it to 6 months. Week 4, write your emergency rules on 1 page. What happens if you lose your job? If a parent needs help?